The Marlins beat the Dodgers finally, this time in walk-off fashion, and they can win the series on Wednesday.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for 3 years now. Go hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And on today's show, I'm going to recap Tuesday night's game. It was a thrilling one against the Dodgers. The Marlins finally get a win against this team. They win it in walk-off fashion. Jesus Sanchez is the walk-off hero. And Quantrill was really solid, gave the Marlins a chance to win. He needs to do more of that. The Marlins pitching staff has to be more consistent like we saw from Quantrill yesterday. I'm also going to talk about Liam Hicks. I think Liam Hicks is a very underrated player that makes the Marlins' long-term decision regarding the catching situation that much more difficult. Also talk about Xavier Edwards, who on the flip side of things, he's been struggling to start the season. Let's talk about this win and what a win it was for the Marlins. A much-needed win. When you look at the last week or so, they lost the series in Seattle. They got swept by the Dodgers. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Athletics. And suddenly this team was sitting at 13-21 in a little bit of a rut, to say the least. The Marlins were just fading, and they were fading quickly. And they dropped the first game against the Dodgers when Sandy Alcantara started. And all of a sudden, it felt like the season was going to completely get away in a hurry, especially with the Dodgers in town. But the Marlins stopped the bleeding. And all of a sudden, they can win a series against the defending world champs. That's going to be Wednesday's game, today's game. Valente Bayozo will be the starter. But last night's game felt like a collective effort from everybody. Everybody throughout that lineup contributed. Connor Norby hit a double. Augustin Ramirez, he had a big base hit in the 10th inning that set up that Jesus Sanchez walk-off. Liam Hicks got the start at catcher. He smashed a 2-run home run. And then the pitching staff, led by Quantrill, did just enough to get that win. Specifically in the bullpen, Jesus Tinoco was absolutely clutch beyond belief. 2 innings in the 9th and 10th, didn't allow a run. It was awesome. And when you limit the damage, you don't give up an average of 10 runs a game, or a minimum of 7 runs, like the Marlins have been doing against the Dodgers, then you find yourself in a position to win. It was back and forth the whole night. The Dodgers were up 1-0. Tony Gonsolin was pitching a really great game for LA. And then Liam Hicks turns on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, crushes it to right field, and the Marlins take a 2-1 lead. The Dodgers come back and tie it. It was just back and forth. Finally, the Marlins, Dane Myers, another base hit. He drives in a run. This game eventually goes to extras. Shohei Ohtani is a really good baseball player, in case you didn't know. He homered again. Freddie Freeman homered again. These Dodgers have stars. It's about mitigating the star power. You're not going to contain them the entire 9 innings. It's not going to happen. But you got to mitigate the damage. And that's what the Marlins did. When you win 5-4, you're going to have a chance if you keep your opponent to 4 runs. When you give up 12 runs, that's where you don't have that chance. So this was a Marlins style of game. Battling, fighting, never giving up, and putting yourself in a position to go win. Jesus Sanchez walks it off, and it's really important to see Sanchez get hot after starting the season on the injured list and then starting off at the plate pretty cold. but that's back-to-back games now in which he's had 2 hits, back-to-back 2-hit games, and hopefully that continues the progression of his season becomes more and more productive. The Marlins need Jesus Sanchez in their lineup. Going into the season, he was one of the most experienced players on this entire roster. Didn't start the season healthy, but he's back now. I think he should only play in the corner outfield or be the DH. And we've yet to see the power really be tapped into. I expect that to change in the month of May. Those 4 hits over the last 2 games, all of which were singles. So we're still waiting to see the slug come into play. But I think Sanchez is an X factor for this team, not just because he's a solid player and he's been here a few years and the Marlins would like his production, but in the grand scheme of things, if he gets hot at the right time and he goes on a nice power surge and he taps into that potential that we've been talking about for years now, I think he could be an interesting name come the trade deadline. Both him and Dane Myers, I think, could be trade chips. I like Dane Myers. I think he's a legit player. I think all he needed was a chance to play every single day. I talked about him on yesterday's show. Really great arm in the outfield. And right now, he's hitting the ball. He's seeing the ball better than ever. His average is up to 361. And of course, that might go down a little bit as the season continues. But if his hit tool continues to play and the power's still there and the defense is elite, then at 29 years old, Dane Myers could be an attractive option for a contender at the deadline like Jesus Sanchez. Jesus Sanchez, I mean, his name has been talked about in trade rumors for years now, and they've never pulled the trigger. Is this the year that trade value for Sanchez becomes warrantable to deal him out? It could happen. I don't even know if warrantable is a word. I'm going to guess that it's not, but I said it, so we got to roll with it. For all those English teachers and grammar students out there, please forgive me. But Jesus Sanchez, great to see him walk it off. I love watching the way he plays the game, the energy. There's a lot of people out there on Marlins Twitter that don't like him, don't want to see him in the everyday lineup. I am not one of those. I think that given his track record, we know what type of player he is. He's a 250 hitter with the potential to hit 25 bombs. And honestly, 30 bombs if he stays healthy and plays into his potential and makes good swing decisions. With Sanchez, it's all about swing decisions. If he's not chasing balls that hit him and swinging at pitches and striking out on a pitch like he did in LA that literally hit him, Sanchez can be a very good big leaguer. And he's been a solid big leaguer his career. I do think this walk-off is going to bring momentum not only to him, but to the team as a whole. They needed this win. The Marlins were coming off a rough stretch. Things felt like they were slowly falling apart. They're sitting in last in the National League East. You just got swept by the defending world champs, and now you got to face them at your place. They put up 7 runs in Monday's game. You don't have your best starter on the mound, Cal Quantrill, more on him in the next segment. But you stop the bleeding, you get the win, and hopefully this translates into momentum. You can take the series on Wednesday. Valente Belloso will be pitching. What will it take to win this game? It's going to take a good outing from Valente Belloso. He's got to have good command the strike zone. Don't leave mistakes down the middle of the plate to the Dodger Stars. And then offensively, everybody chips in. I want to see a collective effort again, much like we saw Monday night. Let's talk about the starter for Monday night's game, Cal Quantrill. He was really solid. He deserves credit. And the Marlins pitching staff needs more starts like this. That's coming up right after this. This episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. If you love the no-shells variety, it's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether you're snacking at your desk, on a road trip, or you just need a quick protein boost, they're always a go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids, and these little green wonders pack a protein punch. Grab the no-shells Wonderful Pistachios for that easy grab-and-go ease and the satisfying crack of opening each shell like snack meditation. That's always a classic. So whether you're running between meetings or you're dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. If you're an everyday listener, thank you for being part of the Locked On Marlins crew. And if this is your first time checking out Locked On Marlins, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any other future episodes. And Quantrill gave the Marlins a really good start on Monday night. It allowed the Marlins to stay in the game. They stayed within striking distance, and they ultimately got the walk-off in the 10th inning. And this is what the Marlins need from their starters moving forward. I don't need to see Hunter Green type outings every night. I don't expect the Marlins to have prime Jose Fernandez-esque outings from their starting pitching. They don't have the horses to get that done. Right now, your best starters are Max Meyer, and that's it. Sandy Alcantara has struggled. Quantrill has struggled. Connor Gillespie, he started the season in the rotation. He struggled. The ERA for this Marlins team is a lot. I saw a tweet from Fish on First the other day. The starting rotation ERA was over 6, if I'm not mistaken. And that can't happen. That has to be lowered. Because right now, the pitching is just losing the game before the Marlins have a chance to win the game, if that makes sense. They're not giving their lineup a chance. Now, this lineup isn't going to outslug the Dodgers. They're not going to keep up with the Dodgers in a scoring fest. It's not going to happen, which is why you need a start like you had from Quantrill last night. 5 innings, 1-run ball. He only walked 1, and he struck out 6. And credit to Clayton McCullough for pulling the plug once he got to the 3rd time through the order. Now, Anthony Veneziano came in and gave up a home run and 2 earned runs. But you know what? I'd honestly rather that go to the bullpen than keeping Quantrill in for the 6th inning when he's been awful the 3rd time through the order. And that goes to Edward Cabrera as well. If they have a good start, if Quantrill has a good start, don't leave them in there for more than you bargained for. Don't try to get greedy. Quantrill was brought in to be an innings eater, but that 3rd time through the order is really rough. But this is what the Marlins need. Consistent 5-6 innings. I don't have a problem with Sandy going 6. I don't have a problem with Max going 6. I'd love to see Quantrill go 6, and maybe he can, maybe he will in the future, but I'm not going to complain given the season that he's had. This was the best start to date for him in a Marlins uniform. 5 innings, 1-run ball. That allowed the Marlins to have a chance to win the game, and that's what I want to see out of this starting pitching, which has been abysmal through the first month of the season. And now we're into May. It's May 7th. I want to see improvement from Sandy Alcantara. He's going to get a start against the White Sox. Ryan Weathers is on his way back. I expect him to be back next week at the very latest. Ryan Weathers getting a start in a Marlins uniform. Can't wait for that. So I do think the Marlins rotation is going to improve incrementally. I don't think they're going to be as bad as we've seen the entire season. And Cal Quantrill was certainly, this is a step in the right direction for him. But it's pretty clear, it's evident to me that the way the Marlins win games, the blueprint to win these games, is a decent outing from your starter, rely on the bullpen, your high leverage arms to get the job done, like Jesus Tinoco in the 9th and 10th, and then timely hitting and a collective effort from the bats in your lineup. That's going to get the Marlins wins this season in 2025. It's a lot different than, say, a team like the Phillies or the Dodgers. The Dodgers, for example, can win by just hitting 3 or 4 home runs and scoring 12, 15 runs against a team. Like, they have that star power. They have Hall of Famers in their lineup. The Marlins, it takes a little bit more effort, takes more work. The margin for error is very thin, which made it so frustrating to watch this team early on give up so many runs early on in the game and essentially shoot yourself in the foot, and you inflict all this damage on yourself and you're out of the game before it even happens. The most frustrating example I can think of is that game in Philadelphia in which the Marlins were down 11-4 and they scored 6 in the 9th inning, and they battled and battled, but they couldn't get it done because of the hole that they had dug themselves into with the starting pitching. So Cal Quantrill, really good outing. How can he translate that moving forward? In Wednesday's game, I want to see this again. Valente Belloso. He's not the most electric starter. He's not going to be throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, but can he command the zone? Can he execute his pitches? It goes back to execution. You don't want to walk people. That's one of the biggest things that hurt a pitching staff is walks. Limit the walks, limit the damage. It elevates the pitch count. It puts runners on base, and it creates more opportunities for your opponent to do damage. So limit the walks and locate within the zone. Don't throw meatballs down the middle. That was the biggest thing that hurt Sandy Alcantara. The stuff was there, but the location was not. And a player like Shohei Ohtani or Freddie Freeman, 2 future Hall of Famers, are absolutely going to make you pay. But the Marlins can go out and get a series win, and that is going to be huge for the momentum of this team. Of any Wednesday game on May 7th, I think this is the biggest one for this team. Get that momentum and take it with you into the off day and then into the weekend against the White Sox, who on paper you should beat. I think the Marlins are better than the White Sox. And a win on Wednesday is going to create a sense of confidence within this group that maybe they can go out and get a sweep and sweep these guys. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about Liam Hicks. I want to mention Liam Hicks. He's been underrated for the Marlins to start the season. How does he factor into the Marlins catching plans for the future? It's a really interesting conversation that I want to have. Also talk about Xavier Edwards. He's struggling to start the season, and it's concerning. That's coming up right after this. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade professionals looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But remember that Locked On Marlins is on pretty much every major podcast platform out there, so you can also listen to the show. Liam Hicks has been a pleasant surprise and a great addition to the Marlins catching room this season. He's a Rule 5 pick, hadn't played above Double A, so there was a lot of questions surrounding his bat entering the season, surrounding him as a player entering the season. When you make the jump from Double A to the majors, that's no small feat, and he's performed very well. He's got an OPS of 720, and for a catcher, I'll take that 10 times out of 10. The question that I have with Liam Hicks is, how does he fit into the Marlins' long-term plans? So, when you have a Rule 5 pick, he has to stay on the 26-man roster for the entirety of the season. Otherwise, he's offered back to his original club. In this case, it would be the Detroit Tigers. And essentially, you just lose him. The Marlins don't want to give away Hicks for nothing. But with the emergence of Agustin Ramirez and Nick Fortes returning from injury, and if you haven't heard, there's a guy named Joe Mack down in AAA who's really, really, really talented and could have a case to be on the Marlins roster at the end of this season. The Marlins have potentially 4 catchers that by the end of 2025 could be getting playing time. And that's not going to happen. 3 catchers is already enough. That's already an untraditional move. Typically, a team is just going to carry the 2 catchers. But with Nick Fortes getting hurt, Liam Hicks and his emergence, Agustin Ramirez, I don't know really what the Marlins are going to do when it comes to constructing the roster and how it's going to look at the end of this season. I think what they should do is consider trading either Nick Fortes or Liam Hicks. Liam Hicks, I want to see get more playing time. I'm more about him than I am Nick Fortes. I know what we have with Nick Fortes. I don't think his offensive ceiling matches Liam Hicks' offensive ceiling. Hicks has very limited playing time. He only has about 60 at-bats on the season. And he already has 17 RBIs. His OPS, like I said, is over 700. He's got power. We saw that in yesterday's game. Hit a 2-run jack. I like Hicks. I think he's an underrated player. And I think the Marlins could consider trading Fortes or Hicks when Joe Mack, if they feel like Joe Mack is going to be ready. I don't know if the Marlins just write out this 3-catcher situation the entire season and then have Joe Mack start the year on the opening day roster in 2026, because by then I think he'll be ready. I think he's very close to being ready right now as it stands. But there's not enough room for all 4. I think the easiest answer is to explore trade options for either Hicks or Fortes and try to get some value back. Albeit it's not going to be a ton of value, but it would be something. Because right now the Marlins are either putting Agustin Ramirez as a catcher. I think the organization believes in him as a catcher, and they're also going to DH him. But I don't think he's going to move to first base or be completely phased out of the catching situation in total. One of the players that has been struggling and really is underperforming his expectations, though, has been Xavier Edwards. And I'm a little bit concerned with X. Xavier Edwards, going into the season, I predicted would be the National League batting champion. He would take that title from Luis Arias. And so far, he really hasn't done anything to help my bold prediction. He's making my prediction very bold. It's gone from bold to very bold. He's hitting 254. His OPS is in the low 600s. So he doesn't bring a lot of power. He's not getting on base at an elite clip. And for a player whose defense is honestly very, very poor, those are concerning numbers. For Xavier Edwards to have value at the top of the lineup, it has to look like this: a high batting average, a good OBP, and stolen bases. And when I say high batting average, it has to be high. It has to be about 300. That's what I expect him to hit. In just north of 300 plate appearances last year, he hit 328. And now in 163 plate appearances to start the season, his batting average is 70 points below that mark. That's not going to play. The defense has been worse than I have expected. The outs above average, -7. He's in the first percentile when it comes to outs above average. His range is non-existent. He doesn't have the arm to survive at the position. And even the eye test just tells you that. There's plays that could be made that won't be charged to him as an error, but a hard hit ball, he's got to make that play. He's not a good defender. And when you're not a good defender and you don't hit for power, you don't hit a lot of doubles, you don't have that slug aspect to your offensive game, you're going to have to rely on getting a ton of singles and stealing a ton of bags. And right now, he's not doing either of that. Can he turn it around? Of course he can turn it around. He could get hot in the month of May and in June and go on a huge streak in which he's just collecting hit after hit, and that batting average continues to rise. But right now, it hasn't been the case. And I'm worried about it. It feels like he's a player whose profile mimics that of a Luis Arias with a better, with more speed, with the ability to steal more bags. But I don't know. I think we're overestimating Luis or Xavier Edwards off of one season last year, myself included. We put a lot of expectations on X to be that player, and he's taken a step back. You look at the Savant profile, there's really nothing there that's super exciting. He doesn't hit the ball hard. The exit velocity is in the bottom tier. I don't know. He's got to get going. Otherwise, we're going to have some tough conversations about his future in the Marlins starting lineup. He's penciled in as the leadoff hitter pretty much every night, but he's not producing at the level required to stick there over the entire season. And right now, the Marlins middle infield as an organization has been disappointing. It's not just X. I'm not just picking on him. Otto Lopez has been disappointing, and now he's injured. You look in the minor leagues, Jared Cerna and Max Acosta, both those guys, underwhelming. Jared Cerna in AA is hitting in the 220s. Max Acosta had a really good spring training. He's still trying to get into a groove in AAA. So I'm not hitting the panic button on the Marlins middle infield yet, but I would feel a lot better if Max Acosta or Jared Cerna were tearing it up in the minors, because right now in the major leagues, it's been underwhelming at second and at short. Javier Sanoja has been a bright spot, though. he's going to see a lot of time at second base with the injury to Otto Lopez. I really like Javier Sanoja as a player. He brings a ton of energy, and he's a good hitter. He's a talented player. He's versatile, can move all over the diamond, and right now the Marlins are going to need him at second base. I do want to quickly give a few programming notes. New episodes are going to be posted every day at about 10 in the morning. If it's a few minutes late on this one, forgive me, but 10 a.m. is going to be the new time for new episodes. And also Thursday, tomorrow, is going to be a live show at 1:30 p.m. I'm going to go live. It's not pre-recorded. And you can hop in, join, shoot me your comments and questions, and I'll be listening and responding. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. For your second listen of the day, go check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. It's over on the Locked On MLB channel. Thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, and let's go fish.